Chassidus. So I'm going to begin with this. Torah says, Achei Temimim, which basically means a charity begins at home. According to Jewish law, the first person you give tzedakah to is the person closest to you. Which means if you're married, the first person to give tzedakah to is your spouse. That's the din, that's the halacha. The second person to give tzedakah to would be your children or your parents, and then your brothers and sisters, and then your neighbors, and then your friends, and only afterwards would you send money to Africa or Asia or South America. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the halacha is that charity begins at home? There's a very good reason for it. Because when you send money to Africa, that's exactly what you send, money. Everybody likes to feel good. Somebody in Africa is emaciated, or at least they found a picture of a child who's emaciated and they can extort money from you from overseas. You send money to Africa, you feel terrific. What did you give? A check. But when you give charity to people close to you, that you're around, it's much messier because you have emotional entanglements with those people. And as a consequence, when you're angry at your brother, or angry at your sister, or angry at your parent, or angry at your child, or angry at your spouse, and you give, you're not giving $1. You're giving a piece of your heart. When you give tzedakah to the people closest to you, you're not only giving money, you're giving yourself. Which is why the fact of life is, it's very easy to give tzedakah to strangers. It's a fact of life. It's very easy to give tzedakah to strangers. It's very hard to be nice to the people close to us. And the closer they are, the harder it is. Why is kibbud avim such a hard mitzvah? It should be the easiest. It makes the most sense. No mitzvah is more logical than kibbud avim, because what parents do for children is absolutely crazy. Parents literally sacrifice their whole life for their kids. And kids have a hard time honoring them and loving them and respecting them. Why? Because we're so close. And there's so much emotion. And it gets so complicated. And every little thing that they did, you remember. And every mistake that they made, you never forget. So you have all these grudges and these feelings. So Torah says that's where you start to give tzedakah. You start to give tzedakah to the people that you have the hardest time giving tzedakah to. To whom you have the hardest time giving tzedakah, to the people closest to you, because with them it's emotions. When you give tzedakah to your old father or your old mother, and hopefully you'll never be in that position, your parents will never be in that position, you have to give your tishkis. And Torah teaches us that when you do an act of tzedakah, you should be mevada your leiv. You not just take something out of your wallet, you're being mitzaref, you're purging, you're refining, you're clarifying, you're cleansing, you're raising up your emotions. We're all selfish creations. And when we give tzedakah to somebody that we're emotionally involved with, there's sacrifice, not just of money, but of self. And that's why the Torah says you give tzedakah first to the person closest to you, because that's the person it's hardest to give to. And this is the reason why the fact is that the mitzvah that makes the most sense, so many people struggle with. Kabed Azavicha Vasimecha is the most logical mitzvah. And so many people fail miserably at Kabed Azavicha Vasimecha. We're so bad at it. We just don't know how to be nice to our parents. And frankly, one of the reasons we're not nice to our parents is because we get away with it. If you treated your friends like that, they'd never talk to you again. But your parents, whatever you do to your parents, so you get away with it. And you forget that the Eibishter gave us a mitzvah of honoring your parents not because your parents are demanding it, but because the Eibishter demands it. And what you have to understand about kibbud avim is every time you break your nature, and don't say the angry thing you want to say, or the emotional thing you want to say, or the depressing thing you want to say, you're fulfilling a mitzvah of the Eibishter, and you're making yourself a bigger person. That's what happens. When we learn how to give to people close to ourselves, we become grown up. We become bigger human beings. This is why Kabed Azavicha V'Semecha is so hard, And this is why Kabbalah is so important. Now, of course, fundamentally, and I'm sure you've explored this already because this is like the theme of the month, I think. When you are honoring your parents, you're not doing something for your parents. You're fulfilling a mitzvah of Hashem. God said, honor your parents. Your parents are not saying honor your parents. The Eibusher said, Hashem said, keep Shabbos. You're not going to say, I'm not in the mood. I'm angry at you, Hashem. Hashem says, keep Shabbos. You keep Shabbos. Hashem says, keep kosher. Keep kosher. Hashem said, honor your father and your mother. Which means it has nothing to do, nothing, to how your parents treat you. That's the truth. Right? The Gemara tells stories about Tanoim and Ameroyim whose parents were obnoxious. Obnoxious. And they honored their parents because they weren't doing something for their parents. They were fulfilling a mitzvah of the Eibusher. The Gemara says, this is a very uncomfortable Gemara. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan said, the great Amoyed Rabbi Yochanan said, I'm happy I never knew my parents. He was born when his parents were very old. They died when he was an infant. He never knew his father and his mother. He says, I'm happy I never knew my parents, because if I had known them, I know I would have failed. The Gemara says, I would have failed the test of Kibbud Avim. And the Gemara goes on to say that if you have parents who you absolutely can't respect, leave, go someplace else, and leave money for others to look after them. Because you have to honor your parents. You're not honoring your parents because they deserve it. You're not honoring your parents because they're good people. You're honoring your parents because it's a mitzvah. This is one of the hardest things to figure out, especially in the modern world. Right? I don't have to tell you this. You guys are much more modern than I'll ever be. Again, yeah. I was once modern too. Now I'm old-fashioned. And one day you'll also be old-fashioned. That's what happens. And your kids will laugh at you, just like my kids laugh at me. It's all part of Kibbud Avim. The modern world is very selfish. The modern world is all about me, 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 me. And if I don't feel good, then I'm entitled to express my feelings. And if I feel like my parents didn't do the right thing by me, then I'm of a right to distance myself from them because my emotional health is very important. You should know this is Hepech HaTorah Mamish. Torah doesn't care about feelings. Torah cares about feelings. But Torah almost never says that feelings can justify behavior. You're in a bad mood, you're not allowed to break something. You're angry, you're not allowed to hit somebody. Your parents are rotten, you have to honor them. I don't feel like it. No one asks you how you feel. You got to do it. This is Yiddishkeit. But it's not modern. Because the modern world is all about, I only do what I feel. And if I don't feel like it, I don't do it. And this is why, if Kibbud Avim was always difficult, in our generation, where everybody is so sensitive to their own emotions, and their own feelings, and their own mood, and their own place, Kibbud Avim is so difficult. So now, what does Chassidus? I want to add one simple point. What would Chassidus say to Kibbud Avim? What would Chassidus say to Kibbud Avim? Chassidus said to Kibbud Avim a very simple thing. Just like if someone stole something from you, or somebody hit you, or somebody wronged you, Chassidus would say, Al Hanidun, the person who did it has to be punished. If someone hurt you, has to be punished. But you have to say, it's Hashgacha Pratis. If somebody wrongs you, that person has a cheshbon with the Eibusher, but that person didn't hurt you. Hashem hurt you. If you lose your wallet, you're not nearly as angry as when someone steals it. Why? You lose your wallet, there's nobody to be angry at. When someone took it from you, there's a person at which you direct your anger. What does the Tanya say? It's not that person. The Eibusher took your wallet. That person's got his issues. The Eibusher took your wallet. So what Chassidus is saying, that everything that happens in our lives, even when it looks like it's passing through other human beings with free will, it's really the act of God. Guess what? It's true of our parents also. If our parents do something to us, and the fact is, this is one of the oldest adages in the world. Who are you most likely to hurt? And who are you most likely to be hurt by? The answer is the people closest to you. And the closer they are, the more likely they are to hurt you. Now, on the other hand, the closer they are, the more they love you. But it gets very mixed up. It gets very, very entangled. So when your parents are not behaving in a way that suits you, now first of all, who cares what you think? You may be wrong. It's a possibility that you're wrong, even though, of course, you can't possibly be wrong because you know everything, but it's possible that one day there'll be more than everything to know that you'll discover, and maybe your parents were actually right. But let's say they were wrong. They didn't do it to you. The Eibishter did. Parents hurt children. I don't think it's possible for parents not to hurt children. But it's also true that parents love children. I don't think it's possible for parents not to love children. They love children. They sacrifice for their children. It's nuts. When you be parents, you'll say, I can't believe, what a sacrifice. How crazy could a person be? My mother did this for me, what I'm doing for my kids. But they hurt us also. They criticize, they make comments, they talk. We find out that they're discussing us when we're not around. All the things that make us crazy about our parents. Hashem did it. Not your father, not your mother. Hashem did it. Because everything that happens to us in our lives is b'hashgacha pratis. So my father didn't hurt me, my mother didn't hurt me. The Eibishter decided I need to go through this. You want to be angry at God? Go right ahead. It's not going to help. Hashem is not nispo. You understand? Hashem's not going to cry if you tell him I'm not talking to you anymore, like your mother. But this is how you have to look at it. What the challenges we have with our parents, and everybody has challenges with their parents. You have to say that this is hashgacha. The Eibishter gave me these parents to raise me in this way, in this home, with these siblings, and I was born 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th as opposed to 1st or last, which is like really cool. The Eibishter made all of these decisions for me, and the Eibishter put me in this world in this way because this is what He wants from me. And He also wants for me to honor my parents. Not because my parents deserve honor, but because the Eibishter said we have to honor them. And the real truth of the matter is, Tibbut Avim is one of the hardest mitzvahs. And a human being who learns how to honor his parents is a mensch. Because you can't do it without looking inward and bringing out inner koyches. So I'm blessing us, even though it's not modern to honor your parents, but Yiddishkeit is more modern than modern. Every day, they told somebody, there's nothing more modern than Judaism. Every day, today we got the Torah from the Eibishter, and the Eibishter told each one of us, okay, so I'm wishing myself and all of you and all of us, Hatzlacha in this very easy and very, very difficult mitzvah. Good morning.